The name is Horace Sovereign, and the topic that we're going to cover today is 1.4 exponent, order of operation, variable expression, and then equation. So what we're going to do is to see what does it mean when you have 2 to the third. That means you're going to multiply 2 itself 3 times. So basically, if you have 2 to the third, that's basically saying 2 times 2 times 2, which equals to 8. That would be your answer. Same when if you have 1 over 10 squared, which means that you're going to multiply 1 times 1 over 10 times 10, which gives you 1 over 100. That will be your answer. For 2/3 means that you're going to have 2/3 to the third. That means you're going to multiply 2 itself 3 times. So you have 2 times 2 times 2 over 3 times 3 times 3. The top gives you 8, and then the bottom gives you 27. And that will be your answer, 8 over 27. As far as 1 to the third, same thing. 1 times 1 times 1, and of course that will be 1. Order of operation. We have an order of operation from left to right. You do inside first, whatever goes inside. If it's bracket, if it's absolute value, if it's parentheses, all of those considered as a group. So parentheses means as a group. Whatever's inside, you do first. So we have inside, exponent, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. That's PEMDAS. A lot of you remember that. And if you find division first in the process of going from left to right, you do division first. You can see that by default is M and then division, multiplication, division. But if you run into division first, you do that from left to right. So here's a problem. If we have 7 plus parenthesis 6 minus 5, I forgot a number here, so we'll put, let's say we put 3 cubed. So in the process of order of operation, you do the inside first. So everything else stays the same except that whatever you're taking care of. So if we're going to take care of the inside, only the inside should show the reflection of what changed. So everything else stays the same. So we all have 7. That's the right order you should go. 7. The only thing that changed here is 6 minus 5 will give you 1, and everything else stays the same. Now the next step we'll go in, after you do the inside, okay, again, what's the next step is to do exponent. So here we'll have, this is basically saying you have an invisible 1, because when you have parentheses, that's saying 1 times 1. So that's multiplication, and that's exponent. So if you had to do parentheses, we already did parentheses already. Exponent will be the next move. So everything else stays the same, and then we'll have 1 times 1, and then the only thing that changed here is 3 times 3 times 3, which is 27. Okay? And for the next step you will take, if you do parentheses, you did exponent, the next step will be multiplication. So everything else stays the same. Here you do multiplication 1 times 1, and that will give you 1, and then plus 27. So you have 1 plus 7 plus 1 plus 27. That gives you a total of 35, and that will be your answer. And that's the right steps to follow to make sure you get that correct. Here's another problem you have. If you have 16 plus absolute value of 13 minus 5, and then you have 4 squared all over 12 minus 3 times 2. 3 times 2. So you're still going to go ahead and follow the order of operation. So we have to do parentheses, which is considered as a group. So what's as a group here will be 13 minus 5. That's the only thing we'll change in that operation. So we have 16. Here 13 minus 5 will give you absolute value of 8. And then everything else stays the same. So we'll write exactly what we have, and then until we go to the next step. Now, the next step is to look and see what else do you have. Now, absolute values is not the same thing as saying parentheses 8. You have absolute value, that's what you, if you have absolute value, you're supposed to take the absolute value of the value itself. So what's inside here will be, we did the inside, but still you got to take care of this. I think I forgot a plus here. You got to take care of the absolute value of 8, so that's the next thing we'll get to do. So everything else stays the same, except that when you take the absolute value of 8, that will still remain 8 plus 4 squared all over 12 minus 3 times 2. The next step is after we did inside. Inside, consider what you had here, 13 minus 5. You have 8, and then you still have to do the inside because absolute value is not the same thing as saying parentheses 8. So you have to do the absolute value of 8. You did that, you get 16 plus 8 plus 4 squared all over 3 times minus 12 minus 3 times 2. So the next thing is to move to exponent. So whatever, the only one we have it here as the exponent is 4 squared. So everything else stays the same. We'll have 16 plus 8, and then that will give you plus 16, and then everything else stays the same, minus 3 times 2. The next thing is to move to, after we did what we did exponent, well, multiplication will be the only thing that will change here. Everything else on the top will stay the same. The only thing that will change here will be 3 times 2 will be 6. So we'll have 16 plus 8 plus 16 again, all over 12 minus 6. And then the final answer will have 16 plus 16, that'll give you 32. 32 plus 8, that will give you 40 over 12 minus 6, that will give you 6. Again, you can't leave this like this. 40 is the same thing as saying 40 is the same thing. 40 over 6 is the same thing as saying 20 times 2 over, you got to look for the GCF. Then you'll have 3 times 2, and then when you cross those 2 out, and then your final answer will be 20 over 3. That's what your answer will be. As far as variable expression, you can, what it is the symbol that represents something. You can say J represent John and Mary and exclude Thomas. That's just an expression saying that, okay, just have John and Mary show up to work. Don't pick up Thomas. Okay, excluding Thomas. So that's just an expression. So if we have 11 more than a number means any number. So we talk about a variable. A variable could be X, could be W, could be any number. So we'll use X as we normally use. So if we have 11 more than a number, that basically say a number plus 11. 11 more than a number. So we'll have X plus 11, that's the expression. 6 subtract from a number. So if we got to take away, we're taking away 6 from what? From a number. So we have to have a number minus 6 because we're taking that away from a number. So we'll have X minus 6. That will be your answer. 4 times a number increased by 9. So he's basically saying 4 times a number is like 4 times X. 4 times a number is 4 times X. Increased by 9 is like saying plus 9. And that will be your answer for this. 3 subtract from 12. The same thing that we had earlier. We had 6 subtract from. If you subtract from something, you have to have that whatever you have first, and then you take out whatever it asks you to subtract from. So we have 3 subtract from 12. So we have to have 12 minus 3. It says is equal. We have equal to 3 squared. 3 squared. We'll have 3 squared, which is 9. So basically, you're saying 12 minus 3 is 9. Is 9 is equal to 9? Yes. So that's the expression you just wrote. You have here. The next deal here, it says the sum of 10 and twice a number. The sum of 10 twice, the sum, if you have a sum, that means you have 2 things or 3 things. In this case, they say the sum of 10 and twice a number. So twice a number is like saying 2x. So the sum, you have the sum between 10 and then 2x. So you have 10 plus 2x, and it says that is means equal, then you have 44. And that will be your equation that you would have in terms of, for this statement here. Okay. The last column is, we talk about equations where you, at time that you substitute some unknown numbers. So it says J plus M, that we say here John plus Mary minus excluding Thomas. They get, after you do that, you get $2,300. But they say where M is $650 and then Tom is $750. So if we get to replace, it says how much did J, which is John, got paid. If we want to try to figure out, we'll have to plug in what Mary gets and what Thomas should have got because he didn't show up to work. So that's minus $750. So we're going to put that expression down and then including the value, the equation, and then including the value. So we'll have J plus whatever M is, we'll replace that to 650 and then minus 750. And that's all equals to 2300. So between those two, combined like terms, we got to put the numbers together, and then after that we can solve for whatever J is. So we'll have, between those two, we'll have minus 100 equals to 2300. Bring down what J is. And after you have J minus 100 equals to 2300. So we add 100 because we got to solve for J. Add 100 on both sides. And J end up giving you 24. And that's what J would get. The last question here is, it says is 3 is a solution to this expression, to this equation that you have here. So wherever you have x, we'll put in 3 for. So we're going to check to see if it makes both sides equal to each other. So you have 6 times 3 plus 2 equals to 9 parentheses 3 minus 5. So does both sides equal to each other? Let's see. We have 18 plus 2 equal to, this will give you 27. 27 minus 5. So 18 plus 2 give us 20. Equal is 27 minus 5, that gives us 22. Is 20 equals 22? No. So therefore, whatever that they ask you to plug in to see if it is a solution to the equation, it's not. So we will say 3 is not a solution to the equation. So I hope this is kind of like cover 1.3. You guys can use this and just to help out with the homework. So if any other questions tomorrow, I get to see you guys in class and bring in your question, and we'll go over it. All right. Hope you all have a good evening, and be safe. And I'll see you all tomorrow.